Hey guys, it's Scott at Modeler X. So part 3, we're working on the Star Destroyer from Zvezda. It's fun to say, Zvezda. It's 2700th scale, and we're working on the horizontal trenches along the edges of the ship, lighting and carving out plastic. So here we go. Alrighty, so the edges of the Star Destroyer, these pieces lay on the outside of sort of a fence, and I've been drilling out the pieces right in here, right in there. You can see some holes drilled, and as we get it into this area, and then those pieces are glued to the fence on the inside. And so the same thing needs to happen on the top edge. And on the front area, you can see where I've cut this out in these areas. But this still needs to be done. And that'll correspond to, and obviously flipped around, that'll correspond to removing areas of that fence so that the light can get from the inside of the model obviously out via the fiber optics. Alright, so let's match up the hulls here. Looking at this area right here, let's just align that and then make sure that the center area here is aligned there. And then stick a Sharpie and then line the top of the fence with the areas that need to be cut out. So let's just go all there, and then boom, right there, a little bit there, right in there, and then right there. So now we've marked the top hull fence right along those areas, and let's cut that out. We have the part marked right here with the blue along this edge of the Star Destroyer here, and I'm going to use a X-Acto knife with a blade that is it's a serrated saw, really fine. And let's just take this and slowly pull that down. And do the same here. Kind of get it started. Light pressure. And then just repeat on the areas that we want to cut out here. We're working on the top hull, so if you make a little mistake, like start digging into the little shield here, it's a little forgiving because it's underneath, it's where nobody will see it. So I mean, we want to be as good as we can, but if you make a mistake, this is probably a little more preferable than doing it right in the line of sight. So a little bit of detail on the underside of this flap, There's like there's two areas that have some raised detail. Okay, so we have all the vertical cuts made with the saw, and now let's just take some clippers and do some plastic removal. So I'm just going to take this, as you can see here, and just cut this out. And kind of do the same thing here. And just go around. Move this back down here so I can kind of place it a little bit more concretely. And we'll turn this around. And let's go at it from the other side. So cut out as much as you can with your clippers, which will have some areas that are still raised. You can see right around in this area. Those are still a little bit raised, so hobby knife, sort of cut those out. Use a real sharp number 11 blade, or whatever blade size you want, and sort of just clean each of these areas up. Like that. This area is a little bit smaller, so just be careful and keep your fingers out of the way for sure. Don't want to slip and create an emergency room visit for yourself. All right. All right. So, sort of cleaned out those areas, and then when the top half comes down on the bottom half, those areas will be cleared out to allow light through the pieces that we drilled through along the edge here. Okay, so let's see. Been dropping in SMDs occasionally to sort of give a little flood lamp effect on the outside of the trench. Let me show you a picture of the subject here. And you can see along the edge trench there, some of the areas are kind of lit up. Not just dots of light, but actually a flood lamp effect. So as we get back to the model, it's accomplished through these SMDs. And so I'm going to put in the last one on the starboard side here at the rear. And these need a little bit of a bigger hole, so you got to work your drill or your knife, however you're making your hole, to make a bigger hole. Hopefully not too big. So these are pre-wired SMDs, and this is an 0402, which is almost like a little grain of sand or salt, and they're real tiny. I'm not sure if you can see that, but intense little lights, and I love them. So the first thing I usually do is let's test this, and I'm just going to use a lighter here and burn off some more of the lead on the back end, so we can actually have a little room for the alligator clip to latch onto. I've got 12 volts coming to these leads, and there's a 1K resistor so we don't burn the thing up, and just connect positive to positive and negative to negative, and we get 10402 LED. So now that it's good, let's go ahead and mount this. And I drilled my hole. Not sure if I can see this on camera or not. It's right in that area right there. And of course this thing's not going to focus for me. But right in there. So from the back side, I'm going to go ahead and sort of feed that through. Where'd you go? There you are. All right. So it's going in about there. And with these, the leads, these are the pre-wired guys. The leads sort of stack on top of each other, and so if you get that sort of oriented in your fingers, you want the lens to be pointed away from your fingers, and then we'll just feed that sucker right through there. Alright, so I can see that coming through. And it looks like it's exactly where I want it to go, so I'm just holding that there with my finger, and then let's just hit this with a little hot glue. And of course, there we go. Alright, so I'm going to hit this with some hot glue. Sort of keep it in place. And then we can get in there with a little CA glue or some canopy glue. I think I'll use canopy glue. That tends to be a little more forgiving. And CA glue gets so darn brittle after a while. So let's pull that out. And what I usually do is just get a little dab of canopy glue. Going on the bench. A little too much there, but oh well. And then let's get a toothpick and sort of get a small amount here, and on the outside I'm just going to kind of dab where that comes through on the inside, excuse me, on the outside, and then also on the inside. Let's give that a little stability there. So trying to show this to you here. Where did we go? Okay, so right in there, add a little glue on the inside, excuse me, the outside again, and then this turned around so I can actually see what I'm doing. A little glue, put a little glue like right there, and obviously it's hot glued, so it's not going anywhere. So So now let's grab these leads, and if all went well, as I dip the hole into my canopy glue, let's clean that up. Let's grab our leads again and take a look at what we got. Oops. Hang on, we got to disconnect. All right, there we go. Okay. So you can see, we're losing our leads here. These wires are so small, it's hardly enough for these alligator clips to grab onto. As I lift it up to camera here. You can see that's lighting up there, and then on the outside, and then when we clamp the two halves together, it'll create sort of an area on the exterior that's lit up a little bit brighter in sort of a flood lamp effect, kind of like that shot that I showed you a little bit earlier. I'll probably tap all these down. I have 6 installed. You can see there's 2 up front, 2 in the middle, 2 in the back. And I'll probably tap those down with some resistors, somewhere between probably 5 and 10,000 ohms, I think is what I used up in the bridge section. There's a couple of the same flood lamp effects up there, and that seemed to be the ohmage that did the homage for this particular effect. So that's what we got this time for the Star Destroyer. Thanks for listening to part 3, and I guess that's it. We'll hopefully head into the hangar bay pretty soon here. Got that all cut out, which was a pain in the rear, but got the old one cut out, and got the photo etch raspberry gorilla. I'm sorry, it's the green strawberry. I don't know where that came from. Photo etch set for that, and we'll cover that next time. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.